Welcome back, everyone, and welcome today, Cody King on the Dosage. How are you, my friend?
Hello, hello. I'm very good. How are you?
Good, good. Glad to have you here. Of course, if you don't know who Cody is, he is one of the hosts of the NOW, the Nerds of Wrestling podcast, every week right here on the DNA Twitch channel. So if you've missed any episodes, you can find those also exported on podcast platforms. But if you ever want to tune in live with him and Trevor, check them out if you're a wrestling fan. That is the best wrestling podcast that I listen to, hands down.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot.
So nice work on carrying that. And again, welcome. This is episode 115 of The Dosage. Insane. Insane. But today, what we're discussing, and I'm pretty excited for this as we continue on in the year 2000. We're in 2001 now. And we're going to be talking about everything gaming. I have to say the format has changed, though, since the last episode and the other episodes of All the Good Culture. What we're going to be talking about is major events in gaming. We're going to be talking about notable games. And then we're actually doing a top 10 each. We're going to be alternating, taking turns going through this. So a little bit of a format change. We are going to put in the description a complete list of things that did come out in the year 2001 if we don't touch on them. And I apologize if we've missed your game that you like, but these are our selections and our opinions. They're not for everyone, but that's okay. That's why we're here. Shall we kick things off?
Absolutely.
All right. I have a little bit of a blurb, and then I'll kick it over to you to talk about your notable games. But I do
Okay.
want to discuss some of the major events. This is generally how we open the Dosage or the All the Good Culture series, with the major events that occurred in that year. Just to kind of set the stage of 2001. We already know what major event happened in the world of 2001. We're not going to dive into that. This is all about gaming. January 29th, Infogames, or Grames, I don't know if that's a typo, I've never heard of this company, to be honest, acquired Hasbro Interactive, including Game.com division. The Microprose and Atari labels, and a right to publish and develop games based on Hasbro properties. Paradigm Entertainment was also acquired. March 21st, the Game Boy Advance handheld is released by Nintendo. Did you have one of those?
Game Boy Advance?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I did. That was probably my first handheld.
it's a good one. Did you
Yeah.
have the SP or the second? What was the second model called? Was that the SP, the second one?
Mm, I remember getting the Game Boy Color, um, the Game Boy Advance, and then after that, um, I want to say that the DS came out after that
Yeah, I think you're right.
for handheld.
Yeah, the micro was somewhere in there. I don't know if that was like a special thing. I honestly never had a micro. I don't know a lot about it. I know what it is. But I definitely had a Game Boy Advance. I definitely had a DS. Egg says hello. Trevor is here. What's up? Trevor's banning people already. Jeez. May 17th to 19th, the 7th annual Electronic Entertainment Expo, otherwise known as E3. June 23rd of 2001 was the 10th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog. That's just crazy that it was 10 already. What's up, Rated, in chat there? Reuters reports that the Dreamcast console has estimated 800,000 online users playing its various online games by mid-year, which that's a fun statistic because of what we're going to get to in a moment. Sony cooperates with AOL to incorporate internet features with the PS2 console, which include a browser, email, and instant messaging. In September, Nintendo released the GameCube and launched Luigi's Mansion. In November, Microsoft Xbox is introduced. Also in November, they released the GameCube in North America. Sega announced that it no longer develop home consoles to focus on game development, and the Dreamcast is discontinued. Yikes. Did you ever have a Dreamcast?
I did have a Dreamcast. I
Do you,
did.
you did, so
Short-lived.
you don't
Yeah, I
have one.
don't currently.
Ah. What did you play on it?
I remember a lot of Taxi.
A lot of
A lot
crazy
of
text.
crazy Taxi. Yeah.
We
Um,
talked about that quite a bit in the year 2001.
yeah, that's probably the main game that I remember on there. Um, Yeah, thinking of the Dreamcast, I really can't think of many games besides Crazy Taxi that I played.
I think that's honestly the most notable one. Thunder says their internet's freezing. Uh, Trevor traded his Dreamcast to a friend to fix his PC, and that's not a bad trade.
Mm,
I don't know if you're regretting that, but. And Seaman, do you remember Seaman on the Dreamcast?
I do not.
Oh man. If I can get an HDMI adapter for my Dreamcast, I might have to do a Seaman stream. Pause for dramatic effect there.
I wanted to say something.
Yeah,
I
as you
wanted to.
should have, because it was set up deliberately. So here's another fun thing that happened in 2001. Activision, you've heard of them. They acquired
Uh-huh.
Treyarch. You've heard of them. What things would happen with this acquirement? Big things in the early 2000s. I'm sure you guys may know. COD.
Yep.
NFL 2K, drip back toss bombs, even on the hardest difficult, or drop back toss bombs. Hardest difficult, you'll catch at least one of them. Facts. 2K was great. Longtime arcade developer Midway Games announced that it will no longer manufacture arcade games. And Midway is one of my favorites. They put out Rampage,
Hmm.
real good stuff there, and Mortal Kombat. You may have heard of that. Plus
And
many
something,
others.
yeah, stuff that me and you talked about just the other day was the sports games that they put out.
Yes,
Blitz, Hits, MLB Slugger.
yes.
Just yeah, just ridiculous games that they put out.
But those were fun. Like when you can
They
surrender
were. They were great.
simulation, like that makes it more fun. So let's talk about, before we jump into our top 10s, that's again the new format we're introducing here. We're talking about our top 10s for the years for now. It may change for future episodes, but we wanted to try something different just to see how it would adjust for timing on the length of these episodes. Because as we all know, we can get long winded on topics of gaming. But I'm going to kick it over to you, Cody. Let's hear what your notable games are that didn't make your top 10.
So I put on here four honorable mentions. I thought about doing five, but I left it at four. So my honorable mentions are SSX Tricky, Simpsons Road Rage, Metal Black didn't make my top 10, and then Grand Theft Auto 3 also did not make my top 10.
Okay.
So I got some big ones that didn't make it, but I think that was because I was 8 in the year 2001. So Grand Theft Auto, I really didn't get into Grand Theft Auto until San Andreas came out. So I did go back and play 3, but it wasn't in 2001. It probably was in like 2006, maybe 2007.
Which makes sense because I think it was towards the end of 2005 or sometime in 2005 with San Andreas. I could be wrong on that. But that
Mm.
would add another 4 years to your age. You're just entering your teens then. Probably more of your interest level, and I don't want to say age appropriate because they are M-rated games, but
Yeah.
still, let's be real. Who wasn't playing an M-rated game as a teenager?
Rated, you were 11. And then what did Will say? It was not hit and run, it was road rage.
Road Rage.
Rage.
Let's see what else was said in chat before we jump over. Trevor saying we're kids. Um,
Mm-mm-mm.
we're Cody, you're a baby. Lana feels old. MX was just about to pull up.
I don't know if 11 is old enough to play Grand Theft Auto. I don't know if I would let my child at 11 play a Grand Theft Auto
So
game.
so no. So here's the thing, real quick story. I've shared it before, but I just since we're on the topic, I worked at GameStop for a brief period of time, and we had a customer come in with a young child who still had a blankie or stuffed animal. I can't remember the detail, but they were asking if the child could handle the mechanics of this game, and that game was GTA 5.
Wow.
I said, it is my job to advise you of the content that's in this game, which does include torture, almost rape, porn, like nudity, like murder, a Grand Theft Auto, which is the
Yep.
title of the game.
Bank
So,
robberies, everything.
exactly. So I was like, I can't tell you no, but I have to tell you the content of the game. And they bought
Yeah.
it. And I'm like, man. Unless they're just literally driving around in the city with like the music even turned off, maybe. But then even maybe, because if you hit people, like it's pretty violent too.
Yeah.
So, speaking of real quick thing on GTA, this November, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Series S, GTA Online standalone is coming to the next gen, the current generation consoles. So that was announced this week. Just kind of wanted to get in there because I'm sure we'll be talking about that down the road on an episode. So that's all you had was just 4 or 5 picks there?
I just picked four. I didn't want to drag on too long. I could have put obviously all the 2K games that came out, all the EA Sports games that came out. There was definitely a few that I wanted to put in my honorable mentions, but I didn't want to have another top 10 just on honorable mentions as well.
Well, I feel bad now. I hope you're ready. Buckle up.
I'm ready.
So here are notable entries. That's weird, MX. I'm gonna let you stop yourself there. Yikes. So here's notable games that didn't make my list. I was late teens when this stuff came out. I was finally had my own money, so there was a lot more games that started to come into my collection at this time. Paper Mario for the 64, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Unreal Tournament, Daytona USA. Even though technically it came out on the Saturn prior to this, I wanted to note it here because it came out for the Dreamcast. Daytona USA is a fun arcade racing simulator. If you've never played it, check it out because the main song in the first course is so catchy and so terribly translated and cheesy. You'll know it when you hear it. Give it a listen. Pokemon Stadium 2, The Simpsons Wrestling, Mario Party 3, Crazy Taxi 1 and 2, because it came out on the PS2, and then 2 came out on the Dreamcast that year. Super Mario Advance, I did actually have this game, so this one is important because it came out on the Game Boy Advance. Super Mario Advance is actually, I don't want to say a remaster, but an upscaled, updated version of Super Mario 2, which is one of my favorite Mario games of all time. So that was an important one. And yes, MX Simpsons Wrestling is a thing.
Yep.
Check that out on YouTube.
I remember going to the arcade and playing that.
It's
They had that
fun.
at the arcade by my house.
Don't expect a good wrestling simulator, but expect just a cheesy.
It's fun for what it's worth.
Yeah. Do I have a stream of that? No, but I will soon because I do have it. So there you go. Coming soon, MX, just for you. I'll even have you guest on that one. You can do guest commentary when we do Simpsons Wrestling. We'll do it one night only. Do that Friday. I can't do Fridays camping. We'll figure something out soon, though. I'll talk with you. Twisted Metal Black, Final Fantasy Chronicles, Pokemon Crystal, Mario Kart Super Circuit for the Game Boy Advance, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Devil May Cry, Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Cortex, Burnout, SSX Tricky, Twisted Metal Small Brawl. I don't know if you ever played with Micro Machines as a kid. That might have been like popular before your time. But I absolutely loved Micro Machines, and Small Brawl was just that. It was literally Twisted Metal made into Micro Machines, and it wasn't great, but it was fun and memorable. And lastly, Pikmin, the very first Pikmin game. So those that's lengthy, notable, but like I couldn't leave them out or neglect them because I know the very first comment would be, "You didn't mention this," and I know we'll still get comments for things we didn't mention, but I felt like those had to be acknowledged.
One on your list that I did have in my top 10, and I actually swapped it out, was Unreal Tournament.
Okay.
Um, I mean, that was one of the first person shooters that I played, and it really held up in time as well. But yeah, that was on my top 10 as number 10, but it didn't make the cut once I did revisions.
Gotcha. I didn't play it a lot, but I played it, so it's why it didn't make mine.
Gotcha.
My first shooter was GoldenEye on the 64 that I remember. I'm sure I played another, but that's the one I remember. So let's talk about our top 10. I'm sure some of these we'll talk into great detail. Let's just go back and forth, and I'll have you, if you don't mind, kick things off for your number 10.
All right. Number 10 for me, I had Conker's Bad Fur Day. Mainly because at the age of probably 8 or 9, I remember convincing my mom to let me rent the game. And I don't think she realized how bad it was either, and neither did I. But I remember getting home and going in my room to play it, and just the sheer level of language and violence that it had threw me for a loop. I still remember it to this day. That is probably the main reason why it made the top 10 list, is because of the memory that it did cause burned into my head of this little squirrel cursing up a storm.
As Cartman would say, this game has warped my fragile little mind.
Yeah.
And
Yes, it definitely has a soft spot there for me.
understandable. I mean, especially if that's your first exposure to content like that. You
Yeah.
know, that's going to be a game changer, pun intended.
Yeah.
What's up, Batman? How are you? So for mine, I actually went through my collection because I still have physical copies of some of my top 10. So, well, before we do that, I had a fun thing. I want to show you this. So we talked about how young we were, right?
Hmm.
I have my school ID.
Oh Lord,
Do I dare show it?
show it to the people. I would love to see it.
Oh, Lord.
But you were what, 18, 17, something like that?
16 actually in 2001.
16.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So this is my 2001 to 2002 school year. I was in 11th
Like
grade, 10th grade,
10th or
11th grade.
11th at that
Yeah.
age, yeah.
So,
Oh, what a cutie.
yeah. Head shaved down to the skin on the sides and then spiked straight up. I was a big fan of the band Mudvayne, and holy crap. Yeah. I'll leave it at that. So yeah, that's I might scan it and throw it up on Instagram. If you guys follow us on Instagram, you might be able to see it there. If you don't, hop on over to Instagram, follow us, Dose of Nerd Acumen. While you're there, we have one for NAW and one for the Nerds of Wrestling podcast. So check it out. Trevor says in 2001, I've been graduated for 2 years already. Rip. All right, so my number 10 here. And you didn't mention this one at all, even in your notable. It might be in your top 10. Who knows? Like, this is going to be a surprising list. But if it's not, I'm going to challenge you and I'm going to say, just bring it. So on the PlayStation 2, SmackDown, WWF SmackDown, just bring it, is my number 10. Still have manual, disc, everything. Honestly, it's a fun game. It added so much content as far as like additional match types. It quotes 70 match types, which I don't even think there are 70 matches. I think they're including every variant of like 1-on-2, 2-on-2, 2-on-2 in a cage. Like, I guess those are match types, right? But
Yeah.
70? We don't even get that now in the 2K games. Like, what?
That's a lot.
So
But I'm sure in that game you probably had the ambulance matches and inferno matches.
I think so. I mean, we can look real quick while we're here, since we're on
Because
the
that
topic.
was in that era of wrestling as is, so I would assume that they would have it. But no, this game actually didn't make my top 10 or my honorable mentions.
Wow. Really?
Mainly because that game wasn't a big notable wrestling game for me. If I want to go back to one of the first wrestling games I played, it was WCW Nitro, um, WCW versus NWO.
Oh, you
And then
can't
once
see
we
it.
got to yeah,
Look at Taker.
once we got to the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox One, well, Xbox original, I should say.
Yeah, OG.
Um, the wrestling games that I really think of is Here Comes the Pain, Shut Your Mouth, SmackDown versus Raw. Um, Just Bring It just doesn't make my list when it comes to wrestling games, let alone the top 10 of this year.
I mean, that makes sense. And Here Comes the Pain, I think, is the one that stands strong for a lot
Absolutely.
of people. It's one of the most notable ones besides the SmackDown vs. Raw like stuff. And the
Yeah, it
SmackDown,
changed the game completely.
it really did. It added so much content. For this, yeah, single, tag, six-man tag, handicap, Royal Rumble, King of the Ring, hardcore, false count anywhere, survival match, cage, I quit, table, ladder, TLC, special referee, which they need to bring that back.
Hmm.
Hell in a Cell, Iron Man, 3 stages of hell was in here, slobber knocker, like, and obviously the variance and how many people in this too. Yeah, I'll take some pictures of this stuff because this is fascinating to look at. I haven't looked at this in years, to be honest. I haven't played it in years. But I'll throw that up in the Instagram too. But that's my number 10 pick. So WWF SmackDown, just bring it. So crazy. It has Kurt Angle, Triple H, The Rock on the cover. Taz and Michael Cole were on commentary for this. So, real neat stuff. Back to you.
For my number 9 pick, I had Jak and Daxter, the Precursor's Legacy. And this is mainly because this was a game that I could play around my family. Um, Unlike Conker's Bad Fur Day. I just remember putting a lot of time into this. And then over the years as well, the legacy that this game had, uh, how these characters made an impact in gaming as a whole. Um, it just had to make my top 10.
Makes sense. I'll be honest, I've only dabbled in those games. I don't know a lot about them. For whatever reason, I knew they existed,
Hmm.
and I don't want to say they didn't appeal to me, but I just wasn't drawn into them for whatever reason.
Yeah, I have these on the same level as the Ratchet and Clank games. They kind of go hand in hand. They're very similar games in a lot of ways. Um, but yeah, like I said, I couldn't leave it out of my top 10 because of how much time I put into it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, out of all these games, it's up there in the amount of hours spent.
Now they're primary platform games, right? Basically.
Yeah.
And see, I think at this time too, I was kind of fading out of the platform genre. I'd overplayed the Crash series. I'd overplayed Mario 64, Sonic
Hmm.
Adventure. Was the main one I had played still in the platforming stuff, but like I kind of burned myself out on that and was getting into obviously what I'm talking about in my picks, which leads me to my number 9, which I believe many people consider one of the scariest games out there, even to today. I don't think so, but then again, it takes a lot to really frighten me. And if you
Hmm.
didn't know that, check out Resident Evil Village, my Let's Plays that are happening currently on Wednesday nights on twitch.tv/DoseOfNerdAcumen. And we archive everything to YouTube. So search for Dose of Nerd Acumen there. We have a convenient playlist for Resident Evil Village. So if you've missed anything there, you want to catch up to the story before the next episode, do so. But Silent Hill 2 is my number 9 that came out on the PS2. I actually don't have that one on hand. I had gotten rid of my copy a long time ago, and then I'd rebought the PS3 remastered versions of them, but it's actually on loan right now to a friend. I borrowed their Skyward Sword, and then they're borrowing my Silent Hill collection. One of these days I'll get that back, but my PS3 isn't even hooked up anymore, so there's no like rush to get that game back. It is a good game, but Silent Hill makes my number 9.
Yeah, it didn't make my top 10 for the same reason Grand Theft Auto didn't make my top 10. Um, it was just a game I really didn't get into until it got remastered. Um, because I was not a fan. I don't think any kids are fans of horror games, and you're kind of afraid to play those games. But yeah, Silent Hill, I didn't really get into it probably around 2005, 2006. Same thing with Resident Evil. I didn't get into those games until later on too. Just because they hit the fear button for me, and I couldn't do it.
See, I've always been drawn to that genre. If I had to pick a favorite genre of film, obviously it's horror, but uh, gaming I lean pretty heavily too. If you saw my collection, I have a good majority is horror games.
Yeah, and that's how I am with that's how I always was with movies. Me and my mom used to watch a lot of horror movies, but playing the games by myself, I just couldn't build up the courage to actually go through with it.
Well, it's because you're more immersed than a movie. Like you can just walk
Hmm.
away from the film, but this, you're the person in control, creeping around that corner, waiting for that fetus to pop out of the hallway at you. And that
That's a
was
nice little throwback to last week.
it was. Check it out, available now. But man, that was messed up. But yeah, horror. I mean, that's the thing too, and I could see levels of or layers of fear that could hit you with this stuff because I had played Resident Evil 7 on VR for a little bit. For one, I can't do VR. VR, it's disorienting. I get motion sickness. But that adds another element of immersion where I could see now, and understandably, where people are timid to the horror genre, where you could be afraid of stuff. Because adding that additional element to me was like, I'm a little sketched out here a little bit more than I am with just a controller in hand. Like I'm there, I'm living in this, thing attached to my face. So I could see
Hello,
that.
Ty. Ty said I didn't say hi to him.
Ty, what's up, man? How are you? Welcome to the show. But yeah, horror's fun. What are we at now?
8. So for my number 8, I had Bandicoot Wrath of Cortex. I mean, I was at the age where Crash Bandicoot was that guy, and these platformers were extremely fun. I mean, I stuck around with Crash Bandicoot pretty much my entire childhood. Um, so Crash Bandicoot's definitely up there in my heart.
What are your thoughts on the remasters of the trilogy then?
I like them.
Okay.
I do have them. It is a nice little throwback to be able to play those games again. Some levels are a lot easier than I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get through them a lot better than I could back then. Um, but then again, some levels are harder than I remember. Still getting frustrated trying to get through different sections of that game.
Well, yeah, it's not an easy game by any means. It's not forgiving at all. Like, that's the thing about gaming today. I feel more games hold your hand compared to back then.
Hmm.
Like, you go back to the original Mario, like you had three guys and you fail, you start at level
Yeah,
1
kick
1.
back to the beginning. Yep.
Yeah. So, did you ever play Crash 4 then?
Yeah. I played all the crashes. I really loved the Mario Party-esque version that Crash Bandicoot brought out.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on the name of that. Um,
Lana
but
would
I really
know.
enjoyed that as well.
Lana would know that one.
A lot of time spent with my family playing that game.
Now, Wrath, is that one? That's not part of the original trilogy. Or is Wrath part of the original? What was that released on?
This was number 3,
Wrath of
I
Cortex.
believe. It was either 3 or 4
I think it was 4 because the first three I think were PS1. This was the first one on
on
PS2.
play. Yeah,
Yeah,
PS2.
I could be wrong. Someone in chat, if we're wrong, let us know. Trevor says NES games were brutal. Yes, yes they were. But yeah, Crash Bandicoot. I mean, it's been a fun franchise. I understand that it dipped for a little while because of different development, so it lost kind of like its core gameplay approach, and then they've brought it back, obviously with a remaster, and then number 4 that just came out within the last year. Which, if you haven't played that yet, you definitely should. You want a challenge to a game? Holy
Great game.
crap! MX says, I'm back. A middle schooler was picking at the tape on my car window while I was on the phone. You have some of the
Don't
wildest stuff, man. Like,
don't fight 10-year-olds.
no. He should just have like a show explaining his life.
I really wish we had a camera following around MXG just to see what he does on a daily basis.
Yeah, the misadventures of MXG coming
It was
soon.
it was a 14-year-old, so it would have been okay. Nope, that's still illegal.
I'm
He's
pretty
still
sure.
going to jail. That's still
Yeah.
a minor.
We're not endorsing violence as a show, MX. That would get us perma banned. We were joking. Jeez. Anyways, number 8 on my list came out on the Dreamcast in June of 2001, and that is Sonic Adventure 2. So as I mentioned, platformers were starting to fall off for me, but this one was fun. I've been a huge Sonic fan since the Genesis, since I learned the cheat code for level select. I've been a fan of Sonic since. And the music too. Like you can't help but not be happy when you hear the music in a Sonic game. It's got some of the best tunes ever to exist in gaming music, and I'll fight you if you disagree.
I'd, I'd agree with that.
But yeah, this one was great. Still have it. Like I said, still have my Dreamcast. It's been a while. I'll have to find an HDMI adapter so I can play Seaman, so I can stream some Seaman for everybody.
Balls.
It's twice. But also maybe some Sonic Adventure. It's been a long time since I played that. And I think the first Sonic Adventure was available on Xbox Live for a minute. Wasn't it an arcade classic or something that was on there for a minute?
I don't remember it going on there, but I also didn't dig too deep.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was on the Dreamcast.
I'm not a huge Sonic fan.
Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah, I was more Mario than Sonic. So I mean, I enjoyed like Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, but that's about it.
That's a fun one. But yes, Sonic Adventure was on the Dreamcast. What I meant to say was the Dreamcast Classics collection on the 360. It had like Crazy Taxi. I think Sonic Adventure was one of the games. It was like 3 or 4 games. I can't remember. I think that was the thing though. But yes, that's my 8th pick.
Number 7 for me is probably going to be higher for you if I had to guess. I have Final Fantasy X. I wasn't ever really big into Final Fantasy. I've played most of them. This is probably my favorite one out of the bunch. Um, but yeah, Final Fantasy just I did spend a lot of time on this one. I did enjoy the storyline on this one. So this one made the bottom half of my top 10.
I mean, it's fair. It is a quality game. I will admit it's a game I've bought a few times, and by a few times I mean originally on the PS2. I mean then the remaster on the PS3, and then the remaster on the PS4, and then I have it on the Vita. So yeah, I'll give it to you, man. That's one of the best
Got
Final
a lot of
Fantasies.
copies.
Yeah, I do have a lot of copies. It is, and I've considered getting it on the Switch, but I slapped my hand and I said no because my wife would murder me.
Yeah, out
So
of all of the Final Fantasies, this one was my favorite one.
I can see that. Wow, you're getting a lot of love tonight from chat. Trevor likes you
I
because you're
am.
not a Sonic fan. Lana likes you because you're not a big Final Fantasy fan. Yikes, guys.
Yeah, I mean, at least Final Fantasy made my top 10. Um, there was games that I wanted to put ahead of it. Uh, I kind of wanted to drop it down the list and off completely. There was at one point where I had Twisted Metal Black on my top 10. There was a point where I had SSX Tricky on my top 10. But both of them ended up getting chopped towards the end of the revisions. But yeah, um, Final Fantasy, at least that one made the list. Sonic, I didn't even think twice about Sonic not being on the list.
I mean, no judgment. It's just interesting to hear different gaming experiences. And that's why it's
Hmm.
so fun making these lists, especially being from a different generation, and
Yeah.
hearing your perspective on it. So, my number 7th pick here was Luigi's Mansion. Unfortunately, I don't have a physical copy of that currently either, and I'm kicking myself for ever getting rid of that physical copy. But I do want to find another GameCube and a copy of Luigi's Mansion someday again. But I do have the newest one on Switch, and it's still a fun series. And I know the original one exists that released on the GameCube exists on the 3DS, so I could get it that way. But you know, but Luigi's Mansion number 7, I think it's worthy of being that high up on the list because it is a fun game, and it's forever now has us always saying Mario, Mario. So that's all you think of with Luigi now. He's kind of that scaredy cat. But yeah, number 7.
Number 6, I had Devil May Cry. Again, I didn't get into this until a few years later, but it was just so good. And the story of Dante and his different skills and abilities. I put a lot of hours into this and I played it back quite a few times, along with some of the other Devil May Cries. Um, So just because of that, I may not have played it in 2001 or maybe even 2002, but once I did play it, it was a fantastic game, and seeing it on this list of 2001, I knew it had to go in the top 10.
You know, this is another franchise that has missed me for whatever reason, and I don't know why. Because I do have Devil May Cry 5 on the PS5, because
Hmm.
they released special edition for that. Because I heard nothing but positive things, and visually the game is stunning. And I had probably several years back gotten into games like Bayonetta,
Great
which
game.
is basically a ripoff of Devil May
Hmm.
Cry by a different developer. Because Capcom did DMC, right?
Yes,
And then Bayonetta is Sega, I think.
I am not 100% about that.
Yeah, I'm not
I
sure.
remember playing that on the 360.
Okay.
That's where I first played Bayonetta.
And then I played
Mana, I
number.
do make eggplant parm though. I do make a good eggplant parm. My wife is Italian, so I had to learn.
Oh, there you go. Good job. Bayonetta 2 that I ended up getting really into on the Switch as well. I got the bundle of 1 and 2
Hmm.
and anxiously awaiting 3. But, anyways, DMC is one that I've wanted to venture back into. They've re released them on the Switch, and I've been kind of hesitant on buying them because I worry that they're dated. Would you say they would hold up well, or would they feel dated?
I think they would feel dated. Um, I mean, if they made a remastered one today, a remastered version today, I think it would be a lot better. But I mean, just looking at some gameplay footage of Devil May Cry, um, because that's kind of what I used to finalize my list, was looking at gameplay footage and really getting memories of all these games. Um, I don't necessarily think it would hold up today, like some of these other games do.
Okay. Yeah, because I think it's 1, 2, and 3 is a bundle that you can get for like $30 on the Switch. So it's one of those that I've had in an Amazon wish list for like a year. So I didn't know if that was something worth ever pulling the
I'm
trigger on.
curious. I'm curious to if they are remastered at all, going on the Switch, a new generation console like that.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I didn't do enough research, and it's another reason why I didn't pull the trigger. I always try to do as much research as I can on a game to see if the gameplay loop will hook me. We've talked about that before. If the loop doesn't get me, then I'm not sold on the game. I have a hard time, sticking with the game and playing it through its finish. So it's really got to hook me. But it's one I'm interested in. Now that you've added this to your list, it's one that I've seen a lot of people talk in high regard of. I even had a friend that named their child Dante. So interesting stuff. So number 6 for me, and I have no physical copy of this one either. But it's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, PS1, PS2, GameCube. I'm a huge fan of Tony Hawk games. I got the bundle of 1 and 2 that got remastered for the PS4. It came with the actual skateboard deck. That's actually on our YouTube channel, the unboxing. I had my oldest son unbox that. He was super excited, and he actually plays the game too. He loves it, which then got him into skateboarding, which he's been trying this year so far to do, which is really cool because I tried it as a kid too, and I sucked. So maybe he'll do better than I did. Who knows? But he's really into it, and that's exciting. So I'm nurturing anything that he's excited about like that. So
Yeah, this is another one that I debated putting on my top 10 list. It ended up not making the cut, mainly because once I really sat down and thought about it, I really didn't get into skateboarding games until Tony Hawk's Underground and Underground 2. And then on to Skate in the future, and then Skate 2. So I mean, as far as skateboarding games goes, this was a little bit before I got into the skateboarding genre. Um, so that's why this one did not make my list.
I mean,
But I have played it since, and it is a good game. I played the remastered version, and it
Okay.
is a good game. Um, just I couldn't put it on my list because I didn't play it until I was an adult. So,
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. For me, this was one of the last ones in the series that I played until, like you had mentioned, Underground. There was a gap there. I think it was American Wasteland was another one that I played after, but that was after Underground as well.
yep, it was after Underground too.
And then after that, they made a lot of crappy ones, like a lot of
And
crappy ones.
and I think that's why a lot of people went into Skate and Skate 2, because they were really good skateboarding games compared to what Tony Hawk was putting out.
Oh, it was
And
incredible.
that was around the time that Wasteland came out too, is when Skate 1 came out.
Yeah.
They were about the same time, so once people realized that Wasteland really wasn't that great, uh, Skate kind of blew it out of the water because of how good it actually was.
Oh, it definitely did. I was definitely more drawn into Skate than I was American Wasteland. I bought, I think American Wasteland was one of my launch games that I bought for the 360. I got that and King Kong, and I didn't finish either of them. But when Skate came out, I was very excited for that game. It was a more authentic, skateboarding game, and the controls with the flip controls,
Hmm.
that was so innovative at the time. I thought that was smart.
Hmm.
So we've come a long way, basically, from the Tony Hawk games to where we are now, and
Absolutely.
can't wait to see
Poss
where.
everybody's praying for a Skate 3 as well. So,
Well, there is a three. We're waiting on four.
is it 4 that we're waiting on?
Yeah,
Hmm.
because three was like 10 years ago or so now.
I couldn't remember which one they cut off at.
Yeah, three was the last
I
one.
know we've been waiting on one for years now.
Oh, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And then they had those other ones. So was it Skater XL? There was another one too that came out somewhat recently, and they weren't great. I can't remember, but the remasters of one and two was fantastic. I'm very happy with that. But yeah, let's continue on, shall we?
Jumping into the top five. I'll probably get a little bit of flack for this one being in my top five. Um, but I have fairly good reason for it. At number five, I have Super Monkey Ball. And the reason that it's so high up on my list is it's the first game that I can really think back and remember my family sitting together and playing, and just remember the pure joy and happiness that everybody had and how it brought the household a little bit closer together. So for sentimental value alone, it had to make my top five. So at number five, I have Super Monkey Ball.
Oh, I mean that's a great pick. That's such an inviting game for the family too. And when you
Hmm.
all, it's one of those pass the controller games. Like I can't beat this level. Here, see if you can do it. And then when
Yeah, and it
everyone,
was
go ahead.
the controls were so simplified too. I mean, you're
Hmm.
just using the analog stick really,
Yep.
and just trying to maneuver your way around the puzzle. So yeah, I mean, it's something anybody could pick up and play. So I think that's why it drew into such a family atmosphere so quickly.
For those that don't know what it is, it's a physics-based game. You're literally a monkey inside a ball, and you
Hmm.
navigate courses. Which, with the stick, you manipulate. I can't speak. The course to then move the ball into or towards the goal. Obviously, obstacles and various things along the way, and bananas to collect. I think in that one too, right?
Yep, yep, yeah, bananas.
And they've made many of these games, but fun family game. There's a remaster of Banana Blitz on the Switch as well, which is another one that I'm on the fence of getting because I'm like, this would be fun for everyone, but again,
Yeah.
like if I pull the trigger to every game that I think I'd want, my collection would be much worse than it is. So I have to reel it in sometimes, reel it in because time versus. Anyway, but yeah, great pick. I think was that in my honorable mentions.
I don't think you said it in the honorable mentions.
Shame on me then. That should be. I'm honorably mentioning it now because that is a good pick. And that's what happens when you sift through a Wikipedia article. You miss things sometimes. But that's okay. My number five pick came out in November of that year because this franchise is near and dear to my heart. And this is the sequel to a game that I consider probably a top five game of all time. Not this game, but it's a sequel to a game that I consider. Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty is my number 5 pick. My biggest complaint for this game, though, is that you're not Snake for a good chunk of it. And to me, that is problematic for the storytelling. I understand why they did what they did and why they had to introduce the stuff they did. But man, is this such a fun game, though. Starting off in the ship. And if you like stealth games and you've never played a Metal Gear game, you're doing things wrong. So get your hands on these. And they've remastered these things, too. But this game, I could say so many things. I could have a show about this one. The first one on the PS1, I could have more things to say. And there's actually an episode of the Weekly Dosage on it, too, if you ever want to go back and listen to it. But yes, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. I'm waiting for a full-on remaster of all these, including the one on the PS1. Rated says Metal Gear Solid is the best game ever. It's top 5 for me. Metal Gear Solid is top 5. And I'm sad the franchise went the way it did, because personally for me it ended at 4. But that's my opinion, and that's another episode for another
And
day.
there is a game along that same genre that I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't put on my top 10 list or my honorable mentions. And you may have it further up. I know you haven't said it yet or on your honorable mentions. But Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon also came out in 2001, which was an absolutely great war game. Um, and that's a game that holds up today as well. A lot of the Tom Clancy games hold up very well today.
You know they do, and it's for whatever reason that's another franchise that I've dabbled in, but I didn't go, head over heels for, and I don't know what it was. I think at the time I'd already played against so many shooters where I had fatigue, and it didn't reinvent the wheel. But it wasn't that the game was bad or the games were bad. It just didn't introduce something new or unique enough to pull me in and take me away from franchises I was already playing. So,
Gotcha.
and they're not bad
Yeah, but
games.
I just wanted to throw that in for another honorable mention because, like I said, don't know if you have it on the rest of your list, but we're getting to the top 4 right now, so I highly doubt it. Um, at number 4, I had what you had at number 7. I believe it was number 7, Luigi's Mansion.
Yep, my number 7.
Um, Luigi's Mansion, obviously, I was around 8 in this time frame. Luigi has always been my favorite character in Mario. Anytime we play Mario Kart or Mario Party, I am Luigi. That is always my pick. I think because he's a tall, lanky guy, and I've always been a tall, lanky guy. Um,
Mario.
so Luigi's Mansion, Luigi getting his own spin-off game. I really enjoyed this. Spent a lot of time playing this as well. So Luigi's Mansion takes number 4 for me.
I can't believe people said the game sucked.
I didn't think it sucked at all. I love that entire series.
That was my joke because you use a vacuum.
Oh, big brain, big brain.
It's a bad joke, guys. It's a bad joke.
That one was a rough joke.
It sucked.
Oh man,
Oh, a joke on a joke.
there you go again.
Yikes. We're done there. We're done. We're officially canceled again. But yeah, no, I agree. I gave my sentiments on that. That franchise has gone on to be incredible, including the new one. Do you have a
Yep,
Switch, by the way?
I do have a Switch.
Okay. Do you have the new Luigi's Mansion?
I do.
Okay. Fair enough.
And Camden loves it as well. So it's nice being able to play some of the especially Mario games with him, because Mario is the first game that I played. Um, I mean, it was a platformer version, and then I remember playing a lot of Super Mario 64. Um, and I actually just got him a bundle of 3 games, which had Mario 64, um, the
Sunshine
one,
and
yeah, Sunshine
and
and the other one,
Galaxy.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Good job.
So
That's a
yeah, I
good bundle.
mean, it is fun to kind of play these games with him because I remember playing each and every one of these. Really, besides Sunshine, I really didn't play that much because that was on the GameCube, if I'm not mistaken,
Yep,
and
Sunshine was on the GameCube.
I did not have a GameCube. Um, My neighbor had a GameCube, so I did play a little bit, but not enough to really have fond memories of it.
Do you have a Wii?
I used to have a Wii.
Certain models of the Wii were backwards compatible with GameCube.
Interesting.
So if you can ever
Interesting.
find one in a thrift store for fairly cheap, which I'm assuming you can,
Hmm.
the one that has the compartment with the GameCube controller slots is the one that is
Yeah.
backwards compatible.
Well, I do have it on the Switch at the moment. So I'll most likely play it at some point in time, once he gets bored with playing it.
I'm
But
speaking more
yeah.
games that haven't been ported yet, like Mario Kart Double Dash, one of
Hmm.
the greatest Mario Kart games. You should check that one out. Hopping over to chat real quick. Rated says they wish you could be on the podcast talking about these games. Rated, let's talk. We'll have you on in a future episode. Batman 2, when we do our movie episode on Resident Evil movie, I want to include Batman on that because I feel like they could offer some unique insight. Trevor says 3D All Stars is great. They need a Zelda
Yep,
collection.
that's what it's called.
Trevor, yes, 100 million times yes. Please, Nintendo, I know you're not listening, but if you were, if you know somebody that knows somebody who knows somebody, I mean, they already know. We're asking for a Zelda collection. Please make that happen. For the love of everything, Zelda. Come on. It's all we want. Yes, I'm happy for Skyward Sword this summer, but I want a collection. I want to be able to play all the Zelda games on my Switch. Please. Please. I digress. Continuing on. What are we at? Number 4 still?
Yep, number 4 to you.
I was going to make this number 3 just to be clever, but my top 3 was a fight already with each other. So this one got put to number 4. But this game, and it's funny because I have the copy right now of it on the original Xbox. But this game is the reason I rushed out and bought a PS2. Not because the PS2 had a DVD player, but because it had this game had first exclusively. Then it went to Xbox. GTA 3. I have a friend that I grew up with that I would go over to his house, and he had a PS2, and he had this game. My mind was blown away seeing the things that you could do in this game in the sandbox because I came from GTA and GTA 2 and then GTA London edition, you know, the bird's eye perspective. And it was super cheesy and like the graphics weren't great and the gameplay was, you know, fine. This was like Mario 64, where that game changed the world for platforms. This game changed the world for sandbox stuff. I could just, in a 3D environment, go hijack a car, beat up a hooker, and just shoot people, hit people with bats, and just like listen to like gnarly music while I drive around this, you know, fake New York or Liberty City. Like this game blew my mind. It's hiding from the police, trying to get the highest star ratings, getting respect, you know, expanding the map to 3 districts as you advance through the storyline, doing the missions with a taxi or the police, the what is you
Or the ambulance.
the ambulance, yeah, like those, like there was just so much content I had never seen before in a game that this game blew my mind. And that was to me a console mover. I had to get a PS2. And what's up? How do you say? You know, I've asked this. Humar. How do I say that? Do you know how to say their name in chat? Silence. He's thinking.
Humar Whittle? That's
Yeah.
how I would pronounce it.
Okay. Hi. I am terrible at names. Humar.
Okay.
Humar. Okay.
Humar. Okay.
I'm terrible at names. But hi.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here with us.
Very glad.
But yes, 2001, this game changed everything. And I would be hooked on this series from this on. Like I was hooked on the series before, but like really, really this changed the landscape. Deep cut reference to Phantasy Star Online, which actually, speaking of Phantasy Star Online, I saw this. You'll appreciate this. So inside my Sonic 2, there's a advert for Phantasy Star Online on the back. So, version 2, I must add. But yes, Rockstar, thank you for making amazing freaking games. Like, holy crap, this game was sick. I might have to go back and play this again sometime soon because it's.
It is a great game. Like I said, it didn't make my top 10. It made my honorable mentions because I was just too young. I was too young when 3 came out. Once San Andreas came out, that's when I got into Grand Theft Auto, which I backtracked and went back to 3
Yeah.
just to check it out. Um, but just because I was too young, I decided to leave it off because I really didn't get into it
I
until
mean,
probably 2005 or
I
2006.
mean, fair. I was the epitome. I was 16. I was who they were trying to get hooked on this stuff,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
they got me. And here I am, still buying their games.
Mm. Waiting for another one.
Yes,
Been waiting for a long time.
I think it's been 10 years.
It has. It's been extremely long. Let's see. We're at number 3 now. We're at the top 3.
Ooh, here we go.
So this is one I don't think you have on your list at all. And you didn't have in your honorable mentions either. NBA Street. Um, the reason why I have this at number 3 is I really wanted to put it at number 2, but I knew that 1 and 2, uh, they were obvious. They were obvious. I mean, you can swap out 1 and 2, but I think they're obvious in my head. Um, so the reason I put it at number 2 is one because the amount of hours I put into the game. This was the go-to game between me and all of my friends when they came over, and one was really big. That was a street ball organization back in the day. I remember having and one DVDs, and this was the first game that you could really use sort of like the moves that they used in and one in a video game. Um, so me and my friends used to play this all the time, and used to make it like it was and one video game. Being able to do these stylish tricks and boost your game breaker meter to pull off unstoppable shots and dunks. Um, yeah, this is a game out of all of these games on that came out in 2001. If I got to pick one to grab and play right now, it would be NBA Street.
Wow. I mean, I've heard solid things about this game as well as the franchise. And how many of those did they release? There were quite a few.
Three,
There's okay.
three. Yeah, but NFL also got into it too. They made
Mhm.
NFL Streets, um, and this pretty much took NBA Jam's place. This was NBA Jam on steroids. I mean, you got to pick from all the players back in this year, pickup style basketball. So you could have Vince Carter from the Raptors, and you could team him up with Michael Jordan was on the Wizards this year, so you could team him up with
Oh
Michael
man.
Jordan, and then have Stretch, which Stretch was on the cover of this game. Um, yeah, it was just an incredible game that kind of killed NBA Jam as a whole and created a legacy in sports games, starting with NBA Street, moving on to NFL Street. Uh, yeah, this is definitely top 3 worthy.
NBA Jam was the last besides 2K in like I think 2K4 or 2K5 for NBA back when they made them like $20 to compete.
Hmm.
It was the last time I dabbled in basketball games. A little bit of short story on that. First question though for you, real quick: how tall are you?
I'm 6'3".
So you played basketball a little bit in real life then too.
I did, I
So you're
did. I played in high school.
are you a baller?
I try to be.
Are you a shot caller?
Yeah, 20-inch brims on the Impala and everything.
He knows where it's going. He knows where it's going. Ah, I like it. So yes, we could finish that song, but we'll not because we'll get a copyright strike because it was so pitch perfect that we're amazing.
It really was.
Seventh grade, before that bitter picture that I showed earlier in the show. Seventh grade, I was 5'1", maybe. I'm only 5'11" now. I'm not a tall man. I'm little. Not as little as I, Rob. Love you, buddy. Happy birthday yesterday. But anyways, I was 5-0. I was the last to be cut from the 7th grade basketball team. And I used to play at the Y. I used to play like on Saturday morning teams growing up. And I used to challenge, at the time, my stepsister's boyfriends. She was a few years older than me, so she'd have boyfriends come over. They'd see me playing against myself, mind you, in the driveway to the Space Jam soundtrack, because that's what you did in the 90s. And I was an only child besides step-siblings that came and went. But I would always challenge them. You can't date my stepsister unless you beat me, in horse or something. And I would just school them, and they would just laugh and go hang out with her anyways. But I was decent, okay? It devastated me to be cut in 7th grade because I had never been cut before in a sport in general. I was always a pretty decent athlete growing up. I played on travel teams for soccer. You had to try out. There were select teams. I made the team to things I did. So for this, it was like, I don't understand rejection here. So I was bitter. I never again played basketball. And I was bitter to the sport as well after that. I had bought brand new Nikes and everything.
It's actually funny because ninth grade, I was about 5'7", 5'8". I still made the team, but I really started to not enjoy it because everybody else had hit their growth spurt by this time. But the summer of my 10th grade is when I really sprouted. And once I got to 6'3", 6'4", that's when everything started to come together for me.
I mean, yeah, getting that height, man, I wish I could break
over one summer.
That's incredible. Mine was like, you're going to get just a little bit taller, then we're done. Now you're just going to grow out. It's like, oh, thanks. Let's see. Trevor says, I wish school had competitive eating. I'd have been an amazing athlete then. He laughs. Rated says, Travis being cut. Cues music. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Rated laughing at you for girth. Competitive eating? Yes, Ty, that is a thing. It actually is a thing.
Rated, you've never seen me in real life. Ty has. I'm anywhere between 6'3" and 6'4", depending on the day the doctor tells me.
Lucky. Man, one day if we ever meet up, y'all are going to look at me like, who's this little fat man? Oh, Rated's calling you out right now. Do you see that?
I know.
Jeez, Rated.
He's calling me out for no reason whatsoever. He's never even seen me. He lives in Texas. I live in Maryland.
Everything's bigger in Texas, though.
I'd say so. I swear to you, if you are, I'm jumping off the Bay Bridge. Well, come to Maryland, and you may be jumping off the Bay Bridge.
Rated, how tall are you? This podcast is derailed. Let's continue.
Yeah, we went into heights.
Good Lord. Okay.
But it is number 3 to you.
It is number 3. Rated 6 foot, so there we go. And Ty is also 6. You guys are all tall. I'm jealous. Number 3.
Ty is probably over 6 foot by a little bit. I'd have to measure him. But go on.
I will go on. I'm going to continue here. Trevor, you're tall. Yeah, stop being so tall. He scared the crap out of my child. Or was it Kevin? I think it was Kevin that scared the crap out of my child. They're both tall. Trevor's taller than Kevin, though. And yes, Lana's only 5'3".
Brittany's only 5 foot even, so on a good day, she's 5 foot even.
Holy crap!
Yeah, so if you look at pictures of us, if you go on my Facebook, you can see the height difference between us. It's about 1.5 feet.
I mean, I noticed the height difference, but I didn't think she was that. I don't want to say that short because that sounds insulting, but much.
Yeah, she's an Italian meatball.
I'm respectfully remain silent.
As Jersey Shore would say.
Jaeger bombs. Anyways, Batman is also 6 foot. Literally everybody's taller than me. Stop it, you people. Good Lord. IRob's only 5'6". That poor guy. There he is. Speak of the devil. I was talking about you. That poor guy. At least I'm taller than somebody. Anyways. Nothing wrong with 5-3. Smolden's, but number 3, before we make this into another 3-hour episode, Super Smash
Oh wow.
Bros. Melee. This one, like, I don't. How do I even begin? This is considered one of the best competition ones too. Like, if you were a competitive gamer, this is the one that most people play. It's considered one of the more balanced ones, from my understanding, in the franchise. But yes, Super Smash Bros. Melee expanded upon everything I absolutely loved from the 64 game. And I still remember the commercials too. I remember when they announced Smash Bros. On the 64. The Happy Together song played by the Turtles, and they're all just kind of, skipping together arm in arm across like the plains or whatever you want to call it, the hill. And then they start kicking the crap out of each other. Like, to me, that was super exciting. And they stepped it up visually and mechanically and roster size too with this game. They added so much.
I'm
And
being attacked right now
oh no.
for calling her an Italian meatball. She heard me.
Oh no. That's not good.
No, she just said ratted me on Messenger and told her I said that.
Oh God. Ray, what are you, a
How dare he.
tattletale?
Tattletale.
Jeez. But yes, Super Smash Bros. Melee, my number 3. Fantastic game. Thankful for it. That's all.
Good transition there because that's my number 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that is my number 2. It's another game that I got early on as a kid and really tried to master. I put a lot of time and effort into this. And it was really cool being able to choose characters and fight other characters from different universes. And we obviously see how the series holds up today. I thought this was an obvious 1 or 2 choice. Yeah, I thought you were going to have it a little bit higher, but that is my number 2.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, fair. Fair. Fair.
Hmm.
Like I said, it was a battle for. Yeah, your autofocus is killing you right now.
I know. I don't know why.
Do this with your hand, like. Yeah, it might focus back on you. Maybe not.
No, nothing yet. We'll get
Weird.
there.
Okay. We're having a hard time focusing.
Luigi needs to fix me up.
He
Use that
does.
vacuum.
We can't focus. Bloops.
Mm-mm.
Number 2 for me was a game that I already mentioned I had bought multiple times. So I
Fix
think
it.
it's quite obvious that Final Fantasy X or 10 is my number 2 pick because I feel it is one of the best Final Fantasy games. And it introduced so many new things with the cinematics, characters with voices instead of text boxes. That was new to the series with this one. And the story alone, too, and just the visual, like everything in this game is pretty much perfect, except the grid sphere. I don't love the grid sphere for the leveling mechanics. It's not terrible, but I don't love it because it's confusing at first. But you get the hang of it. If you haven't played this, it is available in so many places now. Do yourself a favor and play Final Fantasy X. You owe it to
Best one in
yourself.
the series.
Yes. One of the
Yeah,
best.
I kind of figured you would have that higher than I did. I had it at 7, so I kind of figured it would be in your top 5 at least. Because I know you are a fan of Final Fantasy.
I am. I do
But
love
that
RPGs, so those are going
that
to generally
takes
be higher.
us to our number 1 picks, which I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say we have the same number 1 pick because it's something neither of us said in our honorable mentions or our 10 through 2. It's Halo Combat Evolved.
Ba-ba-da!
Easy, clear cut number 1. What I wrote down for this is it is the first person shooter that I ever remember playing. Um, it was really the start of taking gaming seriously for me. Uh, Not only that, but the legacy of the game that this game started is undeniable. The start of Master Chief, the start of the Halo franchise as a whole. When I was deployed in 2015, when we were on ship going to and from, we were able to play the Halo games, and we created a 2v2 tournament with a ton of people on the ship. And this really made us forget about everything for a couple hours and just have fun and remember the little things in life. It still holds up today, especially after it got remastered, and its playback value is top tier.
I mean, hands down, like, even though we had the Master Chief emote there from Batman, that was incredible. Where did you get that emote? I want that. And I'm dropping frames for whatever reason now. Let's see if we can come back in before I continue here. Why am I dropping frames? We've had such good internet connection as of late. Why is it doing things? Looks like
Oh, we
it's
good?
yeah,
I think we're good.
I think it's stabilizing, but holy crap, what was oh man. All right, while we're stable here and continuing on, I don't know why I was dropping frames. We haven't in so long, but here we are. I mean, you summed it up. This is the reason that Xbox kickstarted such a strong launch and as a strong
Mhm.
console, competing in a stacked world against Sony and Nintendo, who were already so incredibly dominant. The idea of a direct Xbox or the Microsoft Xbox, that was pitched and this game was developed to be the flagship game. I mean, it knocked it out of the park. The story, the mechanics, the gameplay, the guns, the love and attention to detail that this game has. I mean, you
Mhm.
can tell it was developed for a PC, but it was on a home console.
And the multiplayer portion of it as well really set everything apart. This really kickstarted everything. This game alone is the reason why Xbox is where it's at right now. Who knows what Xbox would have been without the Halo franchise?
I mean, honestly, I don't know because the innovations that this game had and the success of this brought on two, which then brought on the success of Xbox Live, which was on two, because you were only playing on LAN parties, with consoles hooked up to each other. We didn't get live until Halo 2.
Yep.
But there was that realization of what people were doing, what we were capable of doing with this one, which then brought in Halo 2 and online. And yes, multiplayer. Getting together with friends and playing this was incredible. And I'm dropping frames again. What is happening now? I
Yeah, I
haven't.
mean, like I said, the multiplayer version of it, um, like I said, on ship, we hooked some Xboxes up together and played on two separate TVs, 2v2 tournaments, and just really made us forget about everything that was going on. So not only was this the first person shooter that really made me fall in love with gaming, but it also holds a special spot in my heart because it made me forget about everything that was going on overseas and made me just remember the little things in life and just have a good time.
There we go. All the good ones are gone. Thank you for that, Ty. But yes, videogames.com says one of the best shooters ever, and they were not wrong.
Mhm.
Is videogames.com is still a thing, I wonder. One of the best games in recent times on any console, bar none, says Electronic Gaming Monthly. This is one of the most important launch games for any console ever, Edge Magazine. Microsoft created the Xbox so we could have games like Halo, IGN. Halo's single player game is worth picking up an Xbox for alone. Yes, 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 yes. Hands down. I love this franchise. I love this series. It hasn't been all amazing knock out of the park hits, but like I'm going crazy waiting for Infinite.
Yep.
and I can't wait. I expect a lot of us, hopefully, in this community are going to be getting together and playing that on stream when that drops. Almost to a point of exhaustion because we're going to be so hopefully addicted to its awesomeness. I can't wait. But yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page with this because it's amazing. I can't say enough good things about that game.
Yeah, I mean, I told you at like 5 o'clock that I was 400% positive that we had the same number one.
You
Uh,
did.
I really didn't think there was anything that could have beaten it, besides maybe Super Smash Bros. And maybe Final Fantasy. But I know in my head there was nothing that was going to beat Halo, especially this Halo, the first one that really kickstarted everything.
And I'm dropping frames again. What is happening with my connection right now? Oh, I'm so annoyed because like literally nothing is on my connection. I'll have to figure that out another time. But I want to close things out. I did put together a top grossing top 10 and then a Metacritic top 10 to close this out. So top grossing, number 10, Wario Land 4. Number 9, Pokemon Silver. Number 8, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. 7, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. 6, Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. 5, Super Mario Advance. 4, Mario Kart Super Circuit. 3, Pokemon Crystal. 2, Madden NFL 2002. And number 1, top grossing, GTA 3. Metacritic top 10. 10, Mario Kart Super Circuit. 9, NBA 2K2. 8, Madden NFL 2002. 7, Devil May Cry. 6, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. 5, Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. 4, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. 3, Tony Hawk 3. 2, GTA 3. And number 1, Halo Combat Evolved. As expected. So...
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. Like I said, if we've missed any games that came out in that year, we're going to have a detailed list in the description where you can find where we source this information from on Wikipedia. Please comment if we missed a game, telling us to go check it out and why we should. We'd love your feedback because maybe we missed, a hidden gem. Who knows? There could be something out there that we missed that we should play. But let us know. We need to know because we want to play the best. The best of the best of the best. Sir. But Cody, I want to thank you for being part of this episode of The Dosage.
Not a problem. Yeah, being able to get two different generations in here, and we both agreed on a number one, being two different generations. You being in your later end of teens, and me not even being a teen. Us both still having Halo number one. We had a lot of differences in our top 10. But once we came down to the top couple, they all seemed to fall in line.
Definitely. And that's how the cookie crumbles. But again, thank you. Check out Cody on the NOW podcast with Trevor, usually on Sunday nights unless there's a pay-per-view. Cody also streams additional content for DNA. Check him out. Lately, he's been on Apex Legends kick. So if you ever want to check that out, do so. If you missed a show, it's archived on YouTube. So check it out there as well. He's got a nice, convenient little playlist for all his episodes that he's done. And it's labeled Cody King if you go to Dose of Nerd Acumen's YouTube. Tomorrow night on the channel, we have episode 4 of Resident Evil Village. I continue on putting together the pieces to finding the baby. Thursday, another episode of NAW, and that's it for our scheduled content. But as always, turn on those notifications, hop in our Discord, be on our social media to get notified of pop-up streams because they do happen, and they will happen.
Yes, they do.
So if you ever feel like just hanging out and chatting, please do so. Check us out when we're live. And again, thank you, Cody, for being on this episode. And listeners, viewers, thank you as always for checking out our content. It means the world to us. We don't do this stuff for anybody else but you guys, and we're glad to have you, and we couldn't be doing this and continuing to do this without your love and support. So for that, we love and support you back. But again, thank you all. It's been a pleasure, and this has been the year 2001 in gaming. Good night, everybody.